Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making some whole grain waffles. These will be steam raised, so you'll want to have a regular waffle iron rather than a Belgian waffle iron. So let's get started. These start with soybeans, and these are the dry soybeans, and here's the soybeans once they have been soaked. Now I did a quick soak on these, which meant I put the soybeans in boiling water for 1 hour and then drained them and ran them under cool water, so they were the same as if they had been soaked overnight. So when you start with your beans, and for this recipe you can either use soybeans or garbanzo beans, you take your beans and put them out on a dish towel or a cutting board. A dish towel is nice because they don't roll. And then just look them over and see if there's anything that you don't like the looks of it, and remove that from your beans, and then you're ready to go ahead and soak them. So just pick that up because our soybeans have been all soaked and they are ready to go. So I have my blender. I'm going to put 1 cup of soybeans in the blender along with 1 cup of buckwheat groats. Now these are raw buckwheat groats. If you don't have buckwheat, you're welcome to go ahead and use rolled oats. It's just nice to get a variety of grains when you're cooking so that you get a variety of nutrition. In Ukraine, they use buckwheat just like we would use rice, but I find that these raw ones do not have as an intense of a flavor as the roasted buckwheat. So we'll go ahead and put that 1 cup in there. And then we're going to add a ½ cup of coconut. This is unsweetened coconut. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, which is optional. You may want to use your waffles for putting beans and things on. And if you want to do that, I would suggest leaving out the vanilla. Then I've got 2 teaspoons of cane crystals. You could use any kind of sugar you want. Usually sugar is sugar. And then a ½ teaspoon of salt. And I've got a Himalayan pink salt in here today. Just get that out of there. I'm going to add 2 cups of water, although I've got measured out 2 3/4. I'm going to let it get started with this. All right, we're going to put this on the blender and blend until it's creamy, and then we will add more water once it gets creamy. There we go. That's it. That's all it takes to making a batter. Now I've got my waffle iron here, and preheat your waffle iron. Usually it's till a little light goes on, and then we have our regular waffle iron here. We're just going to give it a quick spray. Even though it's a non-stick, I have found that they still stick a little bit. And we will pour this on, but do not go all the way to the edges because they are steam raised, and it will expand as the steam makes them expand. And we will wait. This will take about 3 or 4 minutes for this to cook until the little green light goes on. But in the meantime, you can also use this batter to make crepes. So let's go ahead over to the stove and I'll show you how to turn it into a crepe. I'm going to take some of the batter and put it in a small bowl and add a little extra water to it. And the reason for this is we want this batter to be thin enough for bubbles to expand very quickly as we put it in the hot pan. So this is rather thin, as you can see. And then I have a no-stick skillet here that I have preheated. And I'm just going to take a little dab of oil and rub the pan just a little bit. All right. We'll pour about 1/4 cup on here. And the bubbles will give it a consistency as if it had been raised with baking powder or baking soda. We're going to let that just about dry. You can see it's starting to dry around the edges here already. We want to have some more bubbles come up here in the middle before we go ahead and flip it, just to make sure that it cooks really well. Okay, so you can see we've got a few little extra bubbles in here. It's drying well around the edges. So we're just going to go ahead and flip that. It takes about maybe 2 minutes per side. And the thinner the batter, the better your air bubbles will be. If your batter is thick, they will come out doughy and heavy. And we really don't want to do that. We want them to be a little bit on the more like the cakey side than the pasty side. All right, and I can just slide that right on to a cooling rack here. And we have a wonderful whole grain crepe that's a great source of fiber and protein. And these are soft enough that you can roll them. You could put a banana inside it if you wanted, a little peanut butter and banana, and roll it up. They freeze well. They're just lovely. Let me show you how to split a banana. All right, so just a regular banana. You want it a little bit getting brown, so you want a ripe banana. If it's too ripe, it won't work, and if it's green, it won't work either. This banana is a little bit bruised, but it'll work for our demonstration purposes here. So we've got hold your banana, and you're just going to gently push your finger into one end of the banana. And a banana is a sectioned fruit like an orange. Most people don't know that. This is wonderful if you like to do dried bananas. Comes apart just like that. They dry beautifully. They end up by being like licorice. But this is also very nice if you want to go ahead and put some peanut butter in there or some almond butter, and then roll it up and have yourself a crepe this direction. There you go. I think our waffles are just about ready. All right, let's check it out. And there you have it. Now, the recipe calls for about 2 teaspoons of sugar, which gives it the ability to brown like this. If your waffle iron burns them, you can reduce the sugar even more. The sugar is basically just for that browning purpose. You're going to put things on top of these waffles that will be that'll make it sweet enough. We like to put chopped fruit on top, like bananas and mangoes. Maybe add some chopped walnuts. You could put applesauce on top of there. You could put canned pears and a handful of dried cranberries. There's so much that you can do with these waffles, and I hope that you'll really enjoy them. Eat for strength.